Well, looky here, kids. It's another exciting episode of KWJUDAS.
Heading down to her place, going out on a Saturday night. Well, she opened the door and man, she was looking so fine. Hip-hugging jeans, we're gonna swing tonight. Let's get out on the road, once you know we hit a light. Stoplight loving, can't wait for the light to turn red. Green light, time to go, but another light is just ahead. Can't wait for another kiss to drive me to your roadside bliss. I need your stoplight loving, got me slowing down and going for more. To the station where everybody's shaking tonight. Step out on the floor, wouldn't you know someone started a fight. I said, hey baby, that's alright by me. Let's get back on the road, oh honey, you know what I mean. Stoplight loving, can't wait for the light to turn red. Green light, time to go, but another light is just ahead. Can't wait for another kiss to drive me to your roadside bliss. I need your stoplight loving, got me slowing down and going for more. Stoplight loving, can't wait for the light to turn red. Green light, time to go, but another light is just ahead. Can't wait for another kiss to drive me to your roadside bliss. I need your stoplight loving, got me slowing down and going for more.
Shit dang, Arliss.
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be a coon's age before we ever got some honky-tonk in this. God dang.
Well, you never know.
We got old Michael Paine here as our in-studio guest. And I'm going to turn things over to your host. Now, hang on a sec. Here's Judas. What's up? Excuse me, sorry.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Hey.
Thank you, Arliss, for getting the show started for me. Sorry I'm late. I was just down in Levan.
Oh.
You ever been down to Levan?
I've never been down to Levan. Is it down by the river?
I knew you were going to say that. I usually try and beat people to that one, but no, it's down by a pond. And I was trying to go fishing, and old Carlos, not Arliss, but Carlos.
Oh, okay, Carlos.
That's the name of my car.
Oh, okay.
People name their cars.
You named your car Carlos?
Carlos.
But it's a car.
Yeah. Well, it's like Arliss, but a car.
Okay.
Me and old Carlos, we were down there at Levan, and old Carlos started giving me all sorts of different, indicators. The lights go blinky blink. You know what I'm saying? There was a teapot, and there was a lightning bolt, and there's something that looked like a battery. Also something that kind of looked like a faucet. And they all just went shebang all at once. And so I was like, I think I probably better just head back home, or else I'm going to miss tonight's show.
Sounded like you better call a tow truck.
I don't have AA just yet.
Oh, okay. AA or AAA?
Well, I guess I'd have to say both.
Okay.
Okay, that's enough out of you, Arliss. You crazy bastard. So, John... We're already off to a very interesting start, aren't we? I told you this show gets weird. It just doesn't usually get weird this soon. I don't even know who I am right now. I have Michael Paine. So, where'd you come from and where are you going?
Well, where I'm going, I don't know. We'll see about that. But I'm actually originally from Palm Desert, California.
California?
Yeah.
How long you been in Utah?
Been in Utah since 1992, and I actually moved up here to go to college.
To the U?
To the U.
Not the BYU?
Not the BYU.
So, is the rivalry as thick as I understand it is?
It seems to be, yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, I never got too much into it.
I think it'd be fun to go out and impaling zoobies, putting their fucking heads on pikes and shit. Isn't that what you guys do? You're the Utes. I mean,
maybe some people did. I don't know. I like I said, I never got into it.
I'm all getting all excited. Let's go and kill us some zoobies after the show.
I think there's a group out there for everybody.
If not, then we're gonna start one.
Yeah, there you go.
You can be vice president.
There you go.
Kill all the zoobies on a pike committee. Sorry, all you zoobies out there. But I guess we're going full-on Ute tonight.
Yeah, that's right.
I've had straight BYU professors on this show, so
wow.
I hope nobody is taking offense. Take a gate or a chair instead.
There you go.
Haha. I'm going to put a rim shot in.
Yeah,
since I edit these shows now.
Yeah, well,
I can do that.
Yeah,
there's going to be a rim shot.
All right.
In fact, I'll probably edit this part of the conversation out. Or I'll leave it in just because it's like, I don't know, breaking the fourth wall.
Right.
No, not really. Hey, all you people out there. Don't you hate it when people break the fourth wall? Huh. All right,
there we go.
So besides your college, what made you stay here?
Well, so my dad moved up here the year before I did.
So you got family here?
Yep, got family here, and so it worked out. I could come up here, and because when I started at the U, I wasn't 18 yet. And because I wasn't 18 yet, I could actually get in-state tuition because my dad lived here for a year before I did. Right. And so it worked out really well. But yeah, and I ended up staying here. Actually, I went on an LDS mission to Spain, and then came back and just kind of worked and did music and all that kind of stuff. So just ended up staying here because that's where the opportunities for me were.
So what'd you go to school for?
Two things. My first degree was in broadcast journalism.
Word.
And I was working in television. I worked for 3 different television stations here in the area.
We have 3 stations in this area?
We actually have, of like the main networks, we have 4 because we have Channel 4, which is an ABC affiliate, Channel 2, which is CBS, KSL, which is NBC, and then Fox 13, which is Fox. So
what about like KBYU and
those are also
KUED?
KBYU, KUED, 7 and 11.
Yeah, KUED's still here in Utah, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I know, fact, obviously KBYU is.
Yeah, I think KUED, they broadcast up from right up there at the U. So,
can you get me on the TV?
Well, I don't work in television anymore, so probably not.
So what do you do now? Oh, you play music, huh?
I play music and I teach guitar lessons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you actually pay the bills.
I
just
do. Yeah. My second
music and guitar.
That's right. My second degree was in jazz guitar performance.
Oh, word.
So, yeah. It's interesting though. One of the cool things about working in television is I noticed this happen a lot of times. There's a lot of local bands were able to get on some of the local television stations because they're always looking for content, especially on the morning shows. And so that's why, especially a really good Channel 2 is really good about this. They always have at least back when I was working there, they would have bands on fairly regularly in the morning.
So about when was that?
That would have been, I left there in 2007. So so that would have been, I was there from 2002 to 2007. So
I might have to talk to you more about this. Because, dude, I want to be on the TV.
Yeah. Another good one, Park City TV used to do that a lot, too. I don't know if they still do or not, but, Parks, they've got a cool setup there, so. Yeah.
I was on TV once. That's how I became Judas, actually.
Oh, no kidding.
I was on This American Life.
The other Judas became Judas in other ways.
Well, he stabbed the Son of God in the back there, man. I mean, what else do you got to do to get famous?
Yeah.
I just impersonated him.
That's right.
Yep, that's how I am, the Judas. I impersonated the original.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
None of that Judas Priest bullshit.
Yeah, but that's a good band.
It was all right. Halford was okay. What was his other band? Wasn't he in, like, Deep Purple for a minute or something?
Oh, he might have been, man. That
or
band
was that Dio? I think that was Dio.
Was it Dio, really?
I think Dio was in Deep Purple.
No,
one of those guys was. I think it was Dio.
Well,
I might have to look this up, and if I'm wrong, we'll
Dio,
just
Ronnie James Dio sang for Black Sabbath.
He was in Sabbath too.
Yeah,
I knew that, and I actually recently found that out.
Okay,
but I'm pretty sure it was him.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I think he wasn't he also in like Rainbow?
Dio, I believe, was in Rainbow.
And
Maybe
then he had another band called Elf.
Yeah,
that was like.
I feel like I need to do.
Shit.
I feel like I need to go do a little more deep dive into my my metal music history.
Some holy diving.
Yeah, some whole. Oh yeah, very good.
Into your metal history.
very nice.
All right, that was terrible. All right, let's get into another song. Let's holy dive into the next song, shall we? What do you want to play next? We just did your honky tonk. You got a lot of different styles here, and so that's another reason I'm kind of stoked for this guy. Is you think that we're just going to listen to honky tonk all night? You are in store for a surprise, my friend.
Mid-century modern life, post and beaming walls of glass and color so bright, designed by Captain Audra Williams, Gray and Wright, a quiet elegance raised by the valley of light. Listen to the wind blow the palm trees in the breeze, a soothing
Hey, do you know Morse code? Really?
Yeah.
My mother is nothing of the sort. Well, here's what I think of that.
That's it. I'm offended.
Huh, well. I didn't appreciate your first remark, my friend. We could do this all night.
Oh, yeah?
Now you're starting to take out my equipment. We're going to have to end this.
Oh!
Bitch slap. No musicians were actually harmed in the recording of this production. At least not this one.
Right, yeah.
A few more might be later on in this show. Because you know how expendable musicians are, you know.
Oh, that's
They're
true.
Disposable.
Yep. That's it.
We usually sacrifice a few towards the end of the show to the almighty gods of Gwar.
Well, you know, the good thing about it is that once one musician is out, there's about 10 others sitting in the wings waiting to take their place.
For real, right?
Yeah.
You can just go out and, like, you know, go to any big city and find a guy panhandling on the side of the road. And just like, hey, you want to be in a band? And they'll probably say no because they make more money than you.
Yeah, probably, right?
Oh, dude, I've had a couple of friends that is how they pay their bills.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to go to college to learn jazz guitar.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
just, you know, there's a guy who, I don't know what happened to him, but I was seeing him around quite a bit. What was it, like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And he played nothing but the buckets. Just a bunch of 5-gallon buckets.
Wow.
And he had maybe a few little metal things. He had this big metal dish that would just lay on the ground, and he would smack it whenever.
Yeah.
Or just pick it up and drop it when you needed a big, long
Yeah.
kind of thing. And he would just play along with a boombox, too. So
Yeah.
it would be songs people knew, because that, I hate to say it, but that's kind of how you get the crowd.
That's how you'd have
Play
to do
songs
something like
they
that
know.
for sure. Yeah.
You know, especially if you're just playing for anyone, everyone.
Yeah, that's right.
And he would just keep a beat along with those buckets.
That's cool.
And elaborate the beat.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just as long as he's playing songs people like, he wouldn't even have a tip jar. He'd have a sign as to how you Venmo him.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's
right?
perfect.
That's
Yeah.
how you do it nowadays.
Yeah.
And it works
Yeah.
much better than, you know, and like, I can't recommend this to just any homeless guy panhandling, because you need a bank account for them to Venmo you.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That's right.
But if you have that ability,
Mm-hmm.
apparently, yeah, he said that on an average, he would at least make $200 or $300,
That's incredible.
you know, and kind of depending on where you were doing it.
Yeah.
If you're going outside of like a jazz game or something.
Mm-hmm.
But just wherever, there's going to be a lot of people.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously the whole like hashtag thing, Venmo thing,
Oh, sure.
and you still got a little upturned bucket
Yeah.
for
That's
actual
right.
real cash
Let people
donations.
drop
and
it in.
everything. But he said he made way more money from the Venmo, because people can do it from their cars and stuff.
Yeah, and most people don't carry change or cash with them anymore.
Yeah, right. And if they
Yeah.
do, well, they give it to that guy.
Yeah, you know, I was in San Antonio a couple of months ago, and my wife and I are walking around, and this homeless guy hits us up for cash. We're like, oh, we're sorry, we don't carry any cash on us. And he, oh, well, I've got Venmo. No kidding.
That is the future, guys. Even
Yeah.
homeless people are like, oh, you can Venmo me.
Yeah, I know. It was wild, man. We also got chased by a giant cockroach there.
Did he have Venmo?
He probably did.
It's like, what do you need? What do you need? Leave me alone. I just need about tree fitting.
Yeah.
Do you have Venmo? Actually, yes, I do.
Yeah, Austin, Texas, man, that's a wild town.
Yeah, even the fucking cockroaches there have Venmo, folks.
Well, and it's in Texas, so everything in Texas is bigger, so you could throw a saddle on them, too.
You could ride the cockroach.
You could ride the cockroach.
There is your next song, right there.
Ride the cockroach.
Speaking of Dio, ride the tiger. Oh, man. We're coming up with some serious gold tonight here.
This is good stuff.
Saddle the cockroach.
That was awesome.
Gross. Well, have you ever seen one of those things? Have you ever ate one?
Oh, well, no. Why would I eat one?
They're edible.
Well, I'm sure just about anything is edible.
And especially the big ones. You can cook them up.
Yeah? The Madagascar ones?
Yeah. Well,
like the
you're
hissing
in
ones?
Texas, so I'm assuming they're Texan.
They're Texan cockroaches. Yeah.
Oh, and if they're Texan, I assume they better be bigger
Oh, of course. Well, everything's bigger in Texas.
than Madagascar.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, now I got to look them up on the map. If which is bigger, Madagascar or Texas? Probably still Texas. I'm gonna bet.
Yeah.
But even though Texas has got some, some critters you don't want to mess with.
Oh yeah.
I would bet Madagascar's got some meaner critters. Man, that's off the coast of Africa.
Yeah,
They got
everything
all
wants to kill
sorts
you
of
there.
Venomous reptiles.
Yeah.
I think that they even have parts of the jungle that humankind has never even hit yet.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And they got tons of chameleons.
Yeah.
And I heard they caught a coelacanth,
So what?
a prehistoric fish,
Really?
off the coast
Wow.
of Madagascar. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Again, that's something I'm going to have to look up.
Yeah.
I don't want to be responsible for spreading false allegations.
That's right. We don't
And
want
have
to.
Neil Young threaten to, take his music off of whatever platform I'm on.
That's right.
Yeah, because I'm spreading false
Misinformation, right? Yeah.
I apologize, Neil Young, if there was no coelacanth caught off the coast of Madagascar. Just want to keep my ass clean. But I'm pretty sure there was. It's a prehistoric fish. That's almost the equivalent of catching a dinosaur.
Has Jeremy Wade ever tried to catch him?
Jeremy who?
Jeremy Wade, man. The like River Monsters guy.
If he hasn't, then there's one thing on his bucket list.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up.
If he, maybe he was the guy who actually caught it.
He could have been the guy, right? Yeah, if anybody. I mean, he had his own TV show, right?
Couldn't have been Steve Irwin. He would have got stabbed or something.
Yeah, something would have happened.
Got electrocuted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
The Stingray beat him to the punch.
Well, I guess that's probably the signal for another song. Is where you'd normally put a cricket chirping.
Or a cockroach.
A cockroach hissing. Okay, all right, then we need to make that the new thing. No more crickets in an awkward moment. We put cockroach hissing anytime there's an awkward moment. Or cicadas or something. Why not?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Let another bug have a moment in the spotlight, huh? What an earwig or something. What the hell earwigs make noises?
There's a lot of bugs out there. You could really do a whole show on that.
Right. Every time you just make an awkward moment, give another bug noise.
That's right.
Like I was going to say a butterfly, but those things just sound like a little rabbit fart.
They flutter.
Ah,
Yeah.
Like a rabbit fart.
Yeah, I've never
Rabbit
heard
farts
a rabbit
flutter?
Fart. I don't know. I've never gotten that close to her. I don't like rabbits.
Me neither. They're always farting like butterflies and messing up the atmosphere. All right, we have Michael Paine here on KWJUDAS. Thank you all for bearing with us tonight. It's been an interesting evening. Free radio.
Miles away, I wanted to talk to you, but my phone had a dead battery. So I ran down to the station to find a way to get back home. They said there was no early departure. That's why I ride the late train all night long. That's why I ride the late train all night long. I wanted to feel your warm embrace, so cold to we used to be when we were young, wild and free. But the truth is, makeup's a rose so sweet. After you've been so mad, never been with someone who's ever been so good to me. You're the best I've ever had. That's why I ride the late train all night long. That's why I ride the late train all night long. Sometimes you got to endure the bad to appreciate the good. Gonna have a good time when I get home. That's why I ride the late train all night long. That's why I ride the late train all night long. That's why I ride the late train all night long. That's why I ride the late train all night long. As I walk through these halls, I see the faces of my memories. I hear the laughter, I feel the tears. Now there's so much a part of me. Sun shines upon history, etched in stone. As new memories are born, I pass through the realm of the unknown, and somehow I feel I'm home when I see faces of you and faces of me. I've seen the good times and the bad. Now they're all a part of me. They made me who I am. Faces of you and faces of me. I've seen the joy and the pain. Now I wonder if all of these tears I have cried in vain. I remember their laughter and pain. I can still see history stained, leaving its mark upon the pages, leaving its mark upon the faces. I'm grateful for the lessons, I'm grateful for the changes, I'm grateful for the souls behind the faces. Faces of you and faces of me. I see made me who I am. Faces of you and faces of me, I've seen the joy and the pain. Now I wonder if all of these tears I have cried in vain.
Very good, very good.
Glorious, glorious.
Yes.
Well, enough of the goofing around. I think that after listening to a couple songs from this guy, it can be concluded that he's not just your average singer-songwriter with an acoustic guitar. So, kind of leads me to a few questions. What all are you doing on these recordings? Are you playing every instrument?
No, just guitar and vocals.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So do you pay studio musicians, or do you actually have like a performing band?
I actually I actually hire studio musicians, and then I hire whoever's available from my pool of musicians for when it's time to go do shows and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That can be easier and harder.
Correct.
In certain ways, because it's like if one guy can't make it, usually you'll have like another guy or girl or they or them, whoever wants to fill in on whatever instrument it is.
Right.
But at the same time, it means that you are going to have to be making a little more money to be able to pay them, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Because usually, if you want somebody on call like that, you got to be able to make it worth their while.
Yeah. Well, I kind of purposely make sure that I book gigs that pay me enough to be able to pay the good players.
Word.
Yeah.
Do you need an acoustic black metal banjoist?
Well, you never know.
Who can't read music?
Oh, well, you never know. I mean, sometimes those are the best ones. I mean, when I was back in Nashville, a lot of those guys they could read the Nashville number chart system, but if you put like legitimate sheet music in front of them, I mean, they couldn't read it. Some of them. I mean, some of them could. I did a jazz session back there, and all of those guys could read. And then I did a couple of country sessions back there as well, and it was all Nashville number chart stuff. I did have one guy say he was curious to see the actual arrangement, the actual chart arrangement that I'd written out, that wasn't the Nashville number system, but actually the music notation. So I was like, fortunately, I had that stuff on hand.
So I'm not gonna lie, I am not familiar with this Nashville number system you speak of.
Okay.
Is that anything like tablature?
No, not really. What it is it's basically what the musicians will do, and this goes for any act that you might play for as a sideman. Like I've played for a couple of different Nashville touring acts, and each time they would basically email me a bunch of PDFs of handwritten basically charts that's like a chord progression, but it's done in a number system, and the number system correlates to what number that particular chord would be in the scale degree of the key that the song is written in. And so that's the Nashville number system. So rather than write something like G, E minor, and then A minor, D, and then back to G, something like that, it would be like a 1 and then a 2 like minor, and then which would be like a 2 minus, or like a 1 and then a 6 minus, and then a 2 minus, and then a 5, and they'd actually be Arabic numerals, not Roman numerals like they would do in classical music. It would actually be the numbers that we use for everyday writing numbers today. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And
you
it's just something new, huh?
Yeah. And usually what they'll do is at the top of the chart, they'll write in a box what the key of the song is in. So if the key was G, they would write G, and then they'd do those numbers, And so if it was like a 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, like I just described, then the numbers would be 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. So.
Yeah, I think I get it.
Yeah.
For being one who is not that musically educated.
Right. So you just have to know you have to kind of know your theory, kind of like, like the back of your hand, kind of in order to be able to do that kind of stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But I still think I get how it works.
Yeah. No. Well, and actually, yeah. I mean, I think that a majority of musicians, and I think the reason they do that, number one, is it's a lot quicker than reading notation. And people that, if they're not great sight readers of notation, they can at least, like you say, get how it works, And so so I mean, if you're a bass player sitting in on a gig that you've never played with that band before, you can just follow the charts and be just fine. So.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing is learning any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I've thought about joining bands like that, but I play pretty much entirely by ear.
Yeah. There's a lot of that too. I mean, obviously there's a lot of that, and there's a lot of kind of, listening to what the other people are giving you and kind of responding off that. I mean, there's a lot of those types of situations that are very spontaneous that way. So.
And if you're good enough, you can still make that work.
For sure.
But if, say, I don't know, you're supposed to just fill in, and the show is like tonight.
Yeah.
You got to be real good if you're just going to fill in playing by ear.
Right, you got to be real good, and that's what the
notation or anything to follow.
Yeah, that's what the number chart is for, and that's kind of what it's designed for anyway. But obviously, it takes learning that skill of knowing what the number chart system is. So, which
I don't.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I also played with a lot of guys based out of L.A. And they kind of do a similar thing, but they don't really write it down. They just talk about it. Oh, okay, this song's a 16251 and all that kind of stuff. And, just follow me for the changes, for like when you change, And I had this one gig where it was a song I'd never played before that the singer decided he wanted to throw into the set. And so the whole time I was watching the keyboard player, the piano player, who was the music director of the band, and he was just sitting there flashing up numbers with his hands, like 1, 6, in between playing, chords, 2, 5. I was just kind of following him with my guitar, and it was like when it was time to take a solo, he was like, okay, take a solo, and that particular song we were playing, I think, in the key of E, and so I was like, okay, well, there you go, there's your solo. So, but yeah.
Sounds like it works okay, though.
It does.
If everyone speaks the same language,
or
roughly.
For sure, yeah.
I've seen some bands that I don't know, they seem to, and when I say language, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm not talking like Spanish, German,
Right.
English. I mean, there's just like musical languages.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're familiar with John Zorn.
I think I've heard the name.
They've kind of created some almost games you can kind of play with music that involve cards and hand gestures and all sorts of stuff. And I've seen local bands around here try and mimic that same idea. I think they call it Cobra, but there's probably lots of different ways to do it. John Zorn has figured out how to, he has a series of albums that are like, this is how you play hockey with music. Huh. This is how you play, Pong with music.
That's cool.
And it's hard to listen to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I just ordered one of the albums without listening to it, just because it's John Zorn, and you never know what you're going to get.
Never know what you're going to get, yeah.
With that guy.
Yeah.
And that's, you listen to it once.
Yeah.
You're like, I get the concept.
For sure.
It was a cool idea. I'm sure it's a lot of fun for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the great thing about anything musical, right? I mean, it's like good is purely subjective, isn't it? It's like whatever kind of strikes a chord with, pun intended, for the person listening to it, right?
Also entertaining for sometimes can be to watch, but not as fun to listen.
Right.
When it comes to a lot of those sort of groups,
Yeah.
If you just record it and go home and listen to it, you're going to be like, what the hell were they doing?
Yeah.
But if you were there and you're watching them make these weird noises and everything, you can't even describe what it was like.
Yeah, that's right.
And I've seen a lot of groups along those lines as well. Can we still call that jazz? I don't know. It's kind of
yeah.
Jazz kind of does whatever it wants.
Right. Yeah,
in a
that's kind of the purpose of jazz, right? You know, it's all about that discovery and experimentation.
Right. Some people just take it too far.
True. Yeah, there's you know, when I was in music school, they would always have us listen to a lot of different music and go see a lot of different artists perform and stuff in the various different subgenres of jazz and within all those different subgenres. And you know, some of the stuff I really dug and got into, and the other stuff I was just like, I don't really need to listen to that ever again.
I mean, jazz covers so much ground that I almost think it would be okay. It'd be very difficult to say I love all forms of jazz,
Right.
because sure, I love lots of forms of jazz and everything, but there are definitely some almost on like both ends of the spectrum where it just gets too out of control, where I'm just like, okay, enough.
Yeah.
I can listen to this for maybe a minute or two, you know, where the saxophones are just
Yep.
It's just drums are just that's another one. John Zorn has done an album like that. It's just fucking chaos.
Yeah.
And it's fun to listen to when you're in that kind of mood.
Sure, yeah.
But then like other stuff where the jazz is like too much the opposite. Mm-hmm. You know, it's too listener friendly and too organized, and I'm not even talking about grocery store jazz. Yeah. Even grocery store jazz can kind of be sort of nice sometimes.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely.
Especially now that you never hear it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and some of that was the pop music of our grandparents' generation, right? You know, and so yeah, of course, it's going to be a little bit more commercially acceptable and commercially digestible, right? Yeah, but but then there's also stuff that I think that branched out from that, even that was still interesting, and you know, kind of brought in some other styles. You know, like a group that I'm thinking of right now is Grant Green.
I haven't heard of that one.
Grant Green was this incredible guitar player, and I bring him up because he's a guitar player like I am, and you know, I used to transcribe a lot of his solos in music school, and interestingly enough, he was one of these players who kind of changed with the times, you know, where maybe his approach to playing didn't really change, but the kind of music that he was responding to and playing to changed. And so, you know, when he first started out, there was, you know, bands like the Dave Brubeck Quartet and things like that were really popular, and so this kind of like mid-century cool jazz type, you know, West Coast jazz type vibe, and so he was doing that for a while. And then as it got kind of into the 70s and kind of like funk started to come in, you know, like the kind of more R&B funky type stuff, he started to embrace that too, you know, but as an instrumental jazz musician, and it was really kind of cool. And so, you know, it's kind of neat to see that happen, you know, because then it kind of maybe brings jazz into, you know, at least at that time, you know, what was happening musically at the time, which is kind of cool.
Is he still around?
Grant Green, no, he's long gone now. But yeah.
So like, about what was the era?
Grant Green, the mostly like early '60s through mid '70s was kind of like his heyday.
Word.
So yeah, great player.
Oh yeah. Any other recommendations? Because I mean, I'm all ears for more, you know, like good jazz artists that I should go look up.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Or any style.
Well,
really.
I did mention the Dave Brubeck Quartet. They're one of my favorites.
I've heard a little bit.
Yeah. Take 5 actually was the number one selling single, jazz single the year it came out. I believe that same year. Or the year before was the year that the Kind of Blue, Miles Davis Kind of Blue album came out, which is, you know, everybody says that, hey, if you're going to start listening to jazz, start with Kind of Blue, you know.
I could see that.
Yeah, and mostly because it was the top selling jazz album at that time, I guess. I don't know if of all time, but certainly at that time. But yeah, I mean, I'd recommend Dave Brubeck. I'd recommend Grant Green, like I mentioned, and then even getting into like some of the other stuff in the 70s. You know, but this is purely subject to taste, right, and flavor. Like I really dug some of the stuff that Robin Ford was doing in the late 70s. You know, with what the band that would become the Yellow Jackets. But again, that was, you know, that personal preference. Some people listen to, like I played with the drummer, like, and we played in various different types of bands together, and anytime we'd play like jazz, jazz fusion or whatever, we'd play like just all different kinds of things, and I was like, anytime I'd bring up the possibility of doing a Yellow Jackets tune, he'd shoot it down because he hated the Yellow Jackets. So I mean, it's like purely subjective, So, but those are guys I like. So
right. Well, that's what it's about, is your influences and
right.
John
Pizzarelli, great player. He's more traditional jazz, but he's great. Yeah,
I know the name.
Yeah.
Again, like a lot of these names, I'm more familiar with than others.
Sure.
Everybody knows Miles Davis, mostly because the Adam Sandler movie.
Right.
I hate to say it, but dude, I mean, in a way, he did Miles Davis a favor. That old lady, considering myself Miles Davis.
Yeah. Yep.
If peeing your pants is cool.
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, Miles Davis, his career spanned pretty much every single different genre and subgenre of jazz. I mean, he tried to do it all.
The more you get into that guy, like the first dude you were talking about, I was like, kind of like Miles Davis.
Grant Green, I mean, kind of as far as like a guitar player goes, but it's funny when you listen to Grant Green play, he's playing more blues licks than anything.
I see.
Yeah. But he was kind of lumped into that category, But he's a very pentatonic-y, kind of bluesy kind of player. So,
word.
Yeah.
But as far as just being able to adapt to the changing of the genres throughout time,
right? Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. So he certainly did that, and definitely maybe not to the extent Miles Davis did, but yeah.
That's more what I was referring to.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, he had like more than one, almost complete like changes of style.
Yeah.
100%. At least 3 kind of like, well, if you listen to this Miles Davis, it's not going to sound like this Miles Davis.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure exactly where, what years kind of were the changing points and everything. But, I actually was just given a whole bunch of CDs from a friend of mine once everybody was starting to go digital. I still collect CDs.
That's awesome.
I will as long as I possibly can.
Yep.
And if people are giving away their old CDs,
you'll take them.
Yeah. Especially if it's like a fellow music geek.
Yeah.
Who I know I can trust your musical opinion. I mean, he just had this big old box full of stuff, some of which I recognize the names, some of which I wouldn't be a fan of had I not ganked that CD.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Al Green was until I ganked an Al Green CD. And even just judging by the cover, just this white background that's all like floofy looking.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a CD I would like.
Right.
But I still grabbed it anyway, and it was like one of my favorites.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I love Al Green.
Yeah.
And of course went and got more of his stuff. It all started with me saying, man, I need to get me some John Coltrane. And he was like, oh, you want some John Coltrane? He pulls out a whole box. He's like, here's all my old CDs.
Oh, yeah.
Since I've uploaded them to my computer, and now people don't even do that anymore. They just get it off Spotify or whatever.
Right.
But, yeah, he let me take whatever he wanted.
That's awesome.
And a lot of stuff, like, I don't know if you're familiar with Critters Buggin' or, like, Skerrick, or there's some weird jazz.
Huh.
Skerrick is a saxophone player, but he gets weird. He runs his sax through all sorts of different effects pedals.
Oh, that's cool.
And stuff, and he's played with all sorts of other eclectic musicians. He's done stuff with Les Claypool.
Wow.
From Primate. Like, I don't know if you know Les Claypool.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
He had a band called the Fearless Flying Frog Brigade that was a lot more jazzy, a lot more proggy, a lot more psychedelic.
Right.
It's my second favorite thing that Les Claypool's been involved with besides Primus.
Oh, wow.
He's got a lot of other stuff outside of Primus, and it's all pretty good.
Yeah.
The new stuff with the Claypool-Lennon Delirium. He teamed up with, was it John Lennon's son?
Is it Julian?
I think so.
Uh-huh.
And they made 2 albums together.
Wow.
That is the best thing he's done in a while.
I'll have to check that out.
Outside Primus.
Yeah.
Aside from, Fearless Flying Frog Brigade is like the one side project I wish he would do more with.
Mm-hmm.
And they did like an album or 3 albums, I think.
Yeah.
And just haven't really done much since. But yeah, that had Skerrick, the saxophone player, and, a bunch of other people that were involved with all sorts of other scenes and whatnot. It was like almost kind of a super band.
Wow.
Sort of just based on who was in it.
That's cool.
But yeah, that's another thing that we could talk about all night.
Yeah, for sure.
Is different jazz influences.
Oh, yeah.
And all the other weirdos that you and I both are into. But as Elder Wheeler once said, less talk, more rock.
There you go.
And thus it shall be. We have Michael Paine. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me.
KWJUDAS, Free Radio Provo.
Last night I drove by your window, hoping to see that the light was on. For peace of mind, I just needed to know that tonight you wouldn't be in his arms. The sun is hot in my memory, and the wind blew softly when you first looked at me. The voice of an angel began to speak, and although I was amazed, I began to think maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Are you gonna believe there's a joker in the corner, something up his sleeve, and the fool on stage plays the waiting game? If he waits forever, will it be in vain? Love pours like water from a stream, tempted but you would never take a drink, thirsty but holding out for the wine. Mr. Vintage never could mirror this heart of mine. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Magnetized by an energy, we were drawn together by something unseen, then ripped apart by something so real. When you broke my heart, oh, how did it feel? Maybe I was wrong, oh, maybe I was blind. Maybe I'm the reason our friendship died. When I kissed your lips and you walked away, didn't you know that I loved you anyway? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. For a moment the world came together in the summer of '69, working hand in hand, setting all differences aside to make that one small step for man. When giants leap for mankind, Daddy was in the academy, training to be a policeman. His brother was in the Navy, fighting in Vietnam. There were protests and riots in the streets, seemed that no one could get along. It took a group of dreamers to meet, land on the moon and prove them all wrong. They took that one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. For a moment the world came together in the summer of '69, working hand in hand, setting all differences aside to make that one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Laying in the back of my daddy's truck, staring up at the stars, dreaming of flying a shuttle to space, maybe even visit Mars. There were savings and loans, an iron curtain, and a Cold War going on, while a group of dreamers gave us hope, built a space station to prove us all wrong. Just like that one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. For a moment the world came together in the summer of '69, working hand in hand, setting all differences aside to make that one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. They showed us that working alongside your brother taught us to love one another. In a world where no one can seem to agree, maybe space exploration is the way to peace. Just like that one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. For a moment the world came together in the summer of '69, working hand in hand, setting all differences aside to make that one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hey, kid, have you had an audio colonoscopy lately? Ooh, did they let you take the microphone home with you afterwards? Well, now you can with Derpinsley's old haggard Ziploc bag. You're not a real person, are you? Okay, heard enough.
David Drayman. You have committed many musical transgressions for which you must atone for. I sentence thee to an eternity of 30 lashings from your own mother.
This way. No, Mommy, no. Say, wait a minute. How can you have an eternity of 30 lashes when eternity lasts forever and 30, well, literally ends at 30?
What do you mean?
Well, if you go any further, it's no longer 30.
You do have a point there.
Besides, what did he actually do anyways?
He refused to buy an old Ziploc bag from Derpinsley.
Oh yes! Sorry there, Dave. You should have bought Derpinsley.
And remember, if it doesn't say Durban, it is not Durban-Schlee.
Well, that was a word from our sponsor, Durban-Schlee. They're the ones that grease our palms and put the peanut shells in your pockets at the end of the show. So, yeah, make sure to remind me about that, and we'll make sure you get paid.
All right.
Because, yeah, Durban-Schlee, I mean, even though you never know what in the hell they're going to do next, they've definitely have facilitated a lot of nonsensory over the years and put up with all this, KWJUDAS nincompoopery. Nonsensory nincompoopery incorporated. That's Durban-Schlee. It's the Durban-Schlee way.
All right.
So before we end the show, where's the best place to find your music?
Well, you'd probably have to go to Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube. It's all there, all on those different places you can listen to it. I will say the older, kind of more country-ish stuff is under Mike Paine, and the newer stuff, is under Michael Paine.
So how many albums do you got out?
Let's see. Only one full album, and one single under Mike Paine, and then 4 singles under Michael Paine.
Word.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to look them up separately?
Yeah, you'd
Mike
have to.
Paine,
yeah, Mike Paine or Michael Paine. Yeah. Although if you go to Michael Paine on Spotify, I do have a playlist that's basically this is Michael Paine, and it's got some of the older stuff, the Mike Paine stuff in there as well.
Cool.
So,
You'll have to send me a link.
Okay.
And I will put that in the description below.
Sounds good.
So if anybody wants to get down on some more Paine.
Oh, yeah. The House of Paine.
You will feel the pain.
You will feel the pain with an E.
And it's it's a good thing that we waited till the end of the show to get into those puns.
Yes.
I mean, I was really holding off. But I knew it was going to come sometime around.
Well, of course. I mean, it'd be, I invite abuse. It'd be impolite not to accept.
Well, I'm sure you've heard 1.5 million.
Oh, no, never.
Stupid little plays on that one.
No.
I'm sure that's never a pain in your ass.
No, that was actually the one that was the most popular one on the schoolyard.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Hey, get over here.
A pain in the patootie. A real pain in the patella. I like that one. Patella.
Yeah, patella.
Yeah, that was off of the old Hercules.
Oh, okay.
And I still use that all the time.
Nice.
So you can be a pain in my patella.
Well, all right. Well, thank you.
All right. Let's get to the next song. And is there anything you'd like to tell the kiddies before we go?
I would just say that this last song, Bougainvillea, is about my hometown, Palm Desert, California, as well as the song we heard earlier in the show called Desert at Night.
Word.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. Michael Paine, KWJUDAS, Free Radio Provo. Thank you all for listening.
I've been away from you for far too long, so I'm making my way home, down through the pass of San Gregorio, to my Mecca in the sun. The fronds rustle in the breeze, a desert valley of cactus and palm trees. Above the sand, purple mountains rise. There's a sweet smell of bougainvillea. Down just north of El Paseo, There's a barber named Joe next door to Keedy's Fountain and Grill, where you can talk to the locals. It's 100 degrees in the shade. There's a bright blue sky each and every day, a warm smile on nearly every face, in a land graced with bougainvillea. There's an oasis in my backyard, with yuccas, palms, agave, and palo verde, next to the pool in a terracotta, a little pink flower called bougainvillea.
We'd like to thank you for joining us on yet another exciting and exclusive episode of KWJUDAS on Free Radio Provo. We now turn you back to our regular free radio program.